Hello! It's always good to be back on TS, and we tell it like it is, and let the chips fall where they may. And as we say all the time, truth crashed to earth shall rise again. And our latest thing we have introduced is a promise to all what we call the apostles of Jandam. And let me say this, by the way, just to make things perfectly clear. Jandam is Jandam. I don't care which side it's coming from. And I say, once we notice the Jandam, trust me, we shall suffocate it with the truth. Jandam is Jandam. From wherever it's coming from, we are watching you, apostles. Anyway, the question that I ask, that you always answer, is what time is it? And your answer you always give me is nation time, man. Nation time. So let's go straight to the point. Today, I'm going to be looking at something that we call tit for tat in government. You do me, I do you. You know, I always explain, say, you bet you say, and it goes back and forth, back and forth. Today, I'm going to look at it from an amazing angle. Just stay tuned. But before I get into that, folks, let me wish all fathers in advance a very, very, very happy Father's Day. Yes, happy Father's Day. Folks, guess what? This Sunday, June 15th, KSM on the grill over at Cactus Creek. All roads lead to Cactus Creek. KSM will be on the grill, and chicken, meat lovers, pork, and at the same time, all those who do only vegetarian, I'm there for you. Join us on June 15th while I take up the grill and serve all fathers on Father's Day. And by the way, in the house will be DJ Ni Aitego, the greatest DJ you have ever met. Come and join us June 15th, Sunday, Father's Day at Cactus Creek.
055 039 5007.
Okay. Now, folks, what I want to talk about today, put all jokes aside. Today, everything that we have been saying on this platform, and we say no matter what, this country will rise again. And we have said it time and time again that there is nothing that is going to stop the Black Star from rising. And you know why I'm talking about that today? Because I actually see the signs that yes, the Black Star will rise. Let me tell you something. Believe it or not, we say that all the time. But it's all about the vision of leadership. Look, Ghana politics, as we all know, it's NDC time, it's MPP time, NDC time. And it got to a point, people were even saying, so, NDC, MPP, and the thing that was propelling that argument, was a tit for tat. You do me, I do you. You do me, I do you. So I remember under the MPP, oh my goodness, how many radio stations were closed? I think it was about 57 radio stations closed under the MPP. And the communication minister then, Ursula, explained that all the radio stations that were closed were because of how they breached the regulations of the NCA.
On those whose authorization had expired and had not applied for renewal. Now, if you do not apply for renewal 3 months at least before your license expires, it means you do not have a valid authorization. And if the law doesn't allow you to operate without a license, then you do not have the right to operate without a license. And that's what led to the shutdown of the radio station. So it was by operation of law.
We didn't just close them, but they had breached the regulations of the NCA. And they were proud to say, we are for the rule of law. We are for the rule of law. So if they've done something wrong and the law says they have breached, close them. And about 57 were closed down. Incidentally, they just happened to be mostly stations that were they would say sympathetic to the NDC cause. All of them closed down, and the closure was backed with fact that yes, they had breached regulation.
On those whose authorization had expired and had not applied for renewal. Now, if you do not apply for renewal 3 months at least before your license expires, it means you do not have a valid authorization. And if the law doesn't allow you to operate without a license, then you do not have the right to operate without a license. And that's what led to the shutdown of the radio stations. So it was by operation of law.
They shut them down. And at that point, even then, you know, I'm talking about what, 2016, 17, thereabout, even then, most of the die-hard NDC people too were talking, okay, you have closed it. Yet when we come, you will see. We will show you that we can also close your stations. They were talking about that. Even when you listen to radio commentary, the NDC supporters were very, very upset and said, oh, don't worry. If you're closing down, fine. Our time will come. We will do you some tit for tat. So let's fast forward, folks. Let's fast forward. The time came and the NDC was in power. Sam Nete went to Parliament. He's the Minister of Communications. And using the same argument that there are certain regulations and they have breached the regulations. So under NDC2, they too have closed radio stations that have breached the regulations.
Mr. Speaker, the NCA's audit showed several cases of non-compliance with the regulation and conditions of broadcasting authorization.
Folks, this is what I want to talk about though. The law that actually supported the closure was quoted by Sam George. Listen to him.
Group 1, 28 FM radio stations who are currently operating with expired authorizations. These actions constitute a violation of Section 2.4 of the Electronic Communications Act 2008. Group 2, 14 FM stations which were issued notices of revocation for failure to establish operations within the required 2-year period following the grant of their authorizations, and have continued to broadcast in violation of Regulation 54 of the Electronic Communications Regulation LI 1991. Group 3, 13 FM stations which applied for authorization to continue operating and have been issued provisional authorization but have not settled the provisional authorization fees in full. Mr. Speaker, without payment of these fees, their authorizations are invalid and their broadcast is a violation of Section 2.4 of Act 775.
Now, what I want you to understand, that this is the same law. The same law. It hasn't changed though. It's the same law that was used by the MPP to close down over 50 stations. Now, Sam George is using the same law. But let me tell you something interesting. There were over 60 radio stations that were closed. But somehow Ghanaians were made to think that it was only 2 stations. Why have you closed one to me? Why have you closed Asase? Because Asase is a known MPP station, and Wood to me, I don't even have to talk. So people, the scientific gendarme was presenting it that is only 2 stations have been closed. There were over 60 that were closed based on that regulation. But 2 Peleno Biekon, when if you listen to a friend is saying, my nephew, Afenyuma King, what has women to me done? What has women to me done?
Why should Asase Radio be denied the opportunity to broadcast? Why? Why will Wontumi be denied opportunity? Why is Wontumi suffering? Why is Wontumi suffering? Why is Wontumi suffering? What has Wontumi done? What at all has Wontumi done?
But it was not only Wontumi or Asase that were closed, but it was good to present it as if, say, yeah, the NDC has come, so it's now tit for tat. And true, no credit here, let's be honest, there were many NDC supporters who said, yes, let us show them. Yes, maybe, you know. But what happened, folks? Right after the Minister of Communication, who has the authority, because they are working with the NCA and the minister is the boss of them all, right after he had announced that he had closed down those stations, a few minutes later, what happened, folks? There was a letter issued for the presidency. And Mahama said, listen, they have actually breached the regulation. I understand. They have actually breached the regulation. I understand. But guess what? Don't shut them down. Don't shut them down. At least give them 30 days to correct the mistake they have made. Massa, I mean, look, this is not a partisan issue. Let's look at this as a national issue. When you have a national leader who can actually reverse the decision made by his own minister announced, said, this is the closure. Mahama said, okay, I understand. I understand that there has been a breach of the regulations. But guess what? Don't close them down. Give them 30 days to fix the problem. So let us reinstate them. Folks, all I'm saying is this. When we talk about nation building, this to me was one of the factors that proved to me that yes, if the president is talking about, I want to reset the country, he means it. He means it too. Because any other president would have been, this would have been a good time for tit for tat. Abai the Botechino and when the Bo Mensa was whatever the name is. This was a brilliant time. Mahama could have just shut up because what his minister did, he didn't do anything wrong. Granted, Wontumi station was there, Asase was there, and granted, these are known to be MPP sympathizers, but Mahama says, who cares? There are Ghanaians working in there. All the employees there, your Ghana for. And it's not just about them, it's about them, their family, and people who they have to take care of. So fine, they have breached it, but Mr. Minister, slow down. I am revoking this breach of thing. Give them 30 days. No, even, what's his name? Gabi Ochodako, who is the owner of Asase, himself admitted that, yeah, it's true, I have breached the regulation because I didn't renew the time I was supposed to. He said it. So all I'm saying is that, yeah, so Mahama didn't have any worries at all. All he could have said, you did it to us.
More than 300 radio stations in Ghana. Why those two? And those are the leading opposition stations. And so you definitely, I mean, you don't need to be a clairvoyant to know that, I mean, definitely there were political reasons behind the closure of those stations. And so it's unfortunate. The president has prided himself in being a human rights campaigner, and I don't think that things like this should be happening under his watch.
We are doing it to you. Easily. That's happening in Ghana all the time. I bet you will see a Jimmy Singh. But what happened? Mahama said, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Slow down. Please. Think a bit about the lives of Ghanaians who are working there. Reverse, you give them a chance to pay whatever they have to pay. And if they don't, imagine 30 days from now we hear that Asase still didn't go and pay, Wontumi didn't go and pay, all the other 67, most of them didn't go and pay. Who will have anything to say about they having been called to close again? So all I'm saying is this: it takes a leader to understand that even though generally the direction of maybe the party and the sentiment of the people may be heading in a particular direction, anyone, like we said all the time, anyone can steer the ship, but it takes the captain to chart the course. But it takes the captain to chart the course. So all I'm saying is this: the course that Mahama wants to chart, resetting. Well, see, let's reset Ghana. Let's move away from the way we used to do things. Let's find a new tone. Let us reset this country. And that's why I'm saying that he, through this singular action of reversing what his minister has done, has proved to Ghanaians that yes, he's serious about resetting. You know? And I know the kind of, it's called something scientific gendarme. The scientific gendarme is couched in a certain way that it actually takes your mind away from the actual crime. You know, what has Wontumi done? What has Wontumi done? Afenyo King asked about 2 or 3 times. What has Asase done?
Why should Asase Radio be denied the opportunity to broadcast? Why? Why will Wontumi be denied opportunity? Why is Wontumi suffering? Why is Wontumi suffering? Why is Wontumi suffering? What has Wontumi done? What at all has Wontumi done?
But folks, here's the thing: it is not about Wontumi. And those of you who saw the kinds of things, the terrible, the ugly, terrible, uncouth, totally stupid, nonsensical things that Wontumi proudly said on his station over and over again, they were so stupid. You know, I did a program one time and I said, I am shocked that there was no intelligent person in the MPP, anyone in the MPP who says, Massa, slow down. These words are disgusting. They are terrible. Don't go that way. They are uncouth. Nyasa bienim sebio tafreta ejimi to get on stage and talk freely about lies to this like this. So because Wontumi used his radio station to talk all that trash and junk, the scientific gendarme is making it look as if say, oh, that's why the Wontumi has been closed. Unfortunately for him, after insulting Mahama and Nana Jiupuku and all the disgusting things he said about the power he had to do everything he wants as governor of Kumasi, about everything, because of all those things, it is coming as if the minister, Sam George, has closed it to get back to Wontumi. No! It's a regulation that he breached.
Group 1, 28 FM radio stations who are currently operating with expired authorizations. These actions constitute a violation of Section 2.4 of the Electronic Communications Act 2008. Group 2, 14 FM stations which were issued notices of revocation for failure to establish operations within the required 2-year period following the grant of their authorizations and have continued to broadcast in violation of Regulation 54 of the Electronic Communications Regulation LI 1991. Group 3, 13 FM stations which applied for authorization to continue operating and have been issued provisional authorization but have not settled the provisional authorization fees in full. Mr. Speaker, without payment of these fees, their authorizations are invalid and their broadcast is a violation of Section 2.4 of Act 775.
What to me? And you know it yourself. So when people are standing down, what are going to be done, what are going to be done, it is so petty, it is so mediocre, it is so throwing dust in the face of eyes of people. Because it's not about what Wontumi has done. It's about a regulation that, by the way, the same regulation was used by the MPP to shut down 57 stations. The same way.
On those whose authorization had expired and had not applied for renewal. Now, if you do not apply for renewal 3 months at least before your license expires, it means you do not have a valid authorization. And if the law doesn't allow you to operate without a license, then you do not have the right to operate without a license. And that's what led to the shutdown of the radio station. So it was by operation of law.
The regulations are necessary. But we have lawyers now who can stand up in Parliament and use the same regulation that was used to close down others to justify why others should stay. So, the singular act of Mahama deciding, let's reverse it, for me, has killed every possible gendarme that would have come out and say it's all about vengeance.
Why should Asase Radio be denied the opportunity to broadcast? Why? Why will Wontumi be denied opportunity? Why is Wontumi suffering? Why is Wontumi suffering? Why is Wontumi suffering? What has Wontumi done? What at all has Wontumi done?
And even if it was about vengeance, it was done rightly because regulation has been breached. Regulation has been... Folks, Charlie, when we talk about nation building, this is the difficult part of it too. When what his face was talking, Afenyomakin, he says if we continue doing things for tat, it won't take anywhere. If we say we are building democracy, then we must walk the talk. Listen to him.
Mr. Speaker, if we say we want to perfect our democracy, then we must be seen to be walking that talk towards perfecting our democracy. This business of it happened yesterday, so we must continue this vicious cycle. Mr. Speaker, it won't help any of us.
You heard it. That if we say we are building a democracy, then we must walk the talk, which means we should not be doing tit for tat. We shouldn't say MPP did it, so NDC will do it. If we say we are building the nation, if we say we are a democratic nation, then it means we won't do tit for tat. This one, you can take it as tit for tat. But whatever it is, Mahama says, don't close them down. In spite of what the regulation says, don't close them down. Give them a chance to pay. And one would have thought that my nephew would have said, oh, thank you for saying this, I'm glad that the president had reversed it. Even that, my dear nephew was not happy. He said that Mahama was doing that so that he gets popularity. Something.
All of us must be concerned. I have not seen in the law anywhere that if sanctions are taken, it is the responsibility of the president to give them pardon. I haven't seen that. But interesting, NCA issued a statement today, and in less than 3-4 hours, the president just comes in to give clemency. Mr. Speaker, don't you see something fishy inside there? Don't you suspect some fishy inside there? Mr. Speaker, there is some kind of fishy deals in it. Because it's not even one day, it's not even 48 hours.
When did you report to the
Mr. Speaker.
When you go low, we go high. When Ursula was very busy closing down the stations and bragging that you are GMI, that was one of the lowest points in the history of Ghana. For anybody to say that a particular party is in power was a reflection, say, yeah, GMI, that was low. Mahama chose to say hi. So on my idea, there's been breaches, but give them 30 days to resolve it. Please. Let us understand something. Let me throw the banks in here, for example. It's the same policy. Even if you say that there were some infractions or there was what and everything, give them time to fix the infractions. Don't just get up and close and end up closing most of the Ghanaian owned banks were closed. Ken Ofrata had been talking to Capital Bank. Your friend is saying, Ato Asian, about possibly purchasing the bank. Ato Asian had his own vision for the bank. He says that will not happen. The next thing we know, Capital Bank has been closed. The next thing we know, Ato Asian is in court. The next thing you know, Ato Asian had been fined and he has started the payments. The next thing we know, we are not satisfied with how much he's making the payments, so Ato Asian is in jail. And this is just an aside. I visit him every time. He has had a very dangerous injury. He fell while he was in Swam. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but let me say this. He fell while he was in Swam. He has a serious back injury. He can't even stand up. And as we talk now, he's in a wheelchair. And they convey him from Swam through the rough, bad road every week to come to Accra for physio. 37. Physio. The man with the back spine injury. Lamenting. So this is what I'm talking about too. Wouldn't a leader with some compassion say, okay, let's give you some space and let's see whether we can reorganize things so that these banks, the infractions and the regulations that you are booking, maybe the law is a law, but can we have a way of getting you to pay back to the state? And so we mobilize all the money to close down banks. We close them down with so much money, and the money that we could have used to just restructure and have them stay in business would have been less. So we used more money to close down the banks. Folks, so the only thing I'm saying is this. That singular act of Mahama reversing the decision of his minister, and trust me, not only his minister, but supported by perhaps many other grassroots party members, that singular act showed the man is serious about resetting this country. He is. I'm sorry. So this nation is for all of us, people. Let us all build this nation. I want a nation where the media is respected. I want a nation where, even though the media could be in a totally different and antagonistic party, let them be. Let them talk. The only sad thing is that sometimes they concoct lies. But if the media will be truthful and stick with the truth, why are you afraid of the media? So this act of restoring known opposition media is an act of nation building. It is. Because, as soon as, let me get, when Wontumi was struggling with his bail, there was one, I don't remember his name, but it's one MPP guy, which will come to power. And when we grab the NDC people who have committed crimes, we'll tell them the bail is 1 million cedis.
Anytime that the NPP comes to power, as I said, even if it's 20 years, we are young people and we are seeing what is happening. Why when you are with you, you remember 1 billion bail conditional. Because that is the law. You remember 1 billion bail conditional.
Well, tit for tat, no. The past had already started. Yes, you're bad. It will be 1 million cedis. Even somebody was warning that this power is like an ice. It quickly melts.
So let us all be guided and know that the power immediately you are given is like an ice block. It begins to melt.
So which means that when we also come, we also do this for that. Because Mahama, by this singular act, has shown that he's ready to build a nation. Has shown that even if you disagree and you don't like him, you still have the right to operate as a media station. So go ahead, let's reverse it and give them 30 days to do the right thing. This is what leadership does. It builds, it doesn't destroy. If you have local banks that are doing very, very well, and the local banks are the ones that are really supporting the SMEs and everything, and they have problems, who doesn't have? Or refractions, who doesn't? Help them resolve that. It will cost you less to help them resolve that and bring them up than taking so much money to crash them all. And I'm saying that this act alone of Mahama getting us and say, yeah, you have listed all these radio stations, as if it was only 2 stations, you know. But you have lifted all these stations that you have come against them because they have broken the regulation. Please let them be. They have family. They have people who depend on them. They are Ghanaians. Put in whatever structures that will help build, and not the structures that are in a hurry to crash. And that's what we saw some time ago, that we're in a hurry to crash certain stations because, yeah, GMI. And one leader says, no, don't crash them, give them chance to correct. That could have been offered to the banks to give them the chance to correct. And right about now, some very, very, very important banks like Heritage Bank, like UT, like Capital Bank, like name it, all Ghanaian banks would have been functioning in the system because the leader would have said, no, we have our Ghanaian banks. We need indigenous banks in Ghana. Without indigenous banks in the country, whenever foreign banks take the upper hand and they become the commanding heights of our economy, it's a national security issue. It is a national security issue. And that is what you would have thought some leadership would think about. Say, no, let's encourage our banks that have been sunk so they grow, rather than, oh, these banks are growing. I didn't want to buy one of them. I couldn't buy one of them, so let's crash them. It is sad. So, Mahama, me patrol, thank you. This is a singular act of showing that you want nation building. This is a single act of showing that you are ready to tolerate even those who do not like you. And that's a big scare for many, many people, because they are going to realize sooner than later that the people of Ghana, that is the kind of leadership they are looking for. Nobody is looking for any leadership that is looking out to crush people that dissent against them. Nobody is looking for that. And that era is gone. That era is gone. At the end of the day, folks, it's not about Wontumi or Asase. This is not about Gabi. It's not about Gabi. Do you think there's nobody in Asase who's working now at the radio technician, whatever, who understands and appreciates what Mahama is doing. There's nobody in Asase. Do you think that you have to show your cast, your MPP Asase? If that was the case there, then it's their silliness. But trust me, there are people who just say that, but they don't think like that. Do you think that Wontumi, as awful as he has been, you think that there are no NDC people working at Wontumi? Forget about NDC people. Let's look at the nation. You think there's nobody working at Wontumi who doesn't want nation building? Who does not want nation building? As the CD is increasing in power, as prices are falling down, who doesn't want that? If there's anybody who truly doesn't want that, they are evil nation wreckers who do not belong in Ghana. I wish they can move and go and find some island to settle on. Why have you moved over? Because Ghana is progressing. The CD is coming down. Prices are coming down. We can't stand this. So we are moving. I doubt it. Everybody wants nation building. Everybody. Even the nation wreckers. Even the nation wreckers love nation building because it's benefiting their businesses and everything. They love it. The only thing they hate is the political ignorance that has dwelt in them to the extent that everything must be partisan. Those are the only ones that will not like to see this nation rise. So I'll even quickly commend what's his name, Kojo Nkrumah. You know, he said something to the effect that they have been in power for 8 years. NPP has been in power for 8 years. There has been some successes and there have been some failures. But he said something to the effect that they have been in power for 8 years and they have successes and failures means that they have something that the NDC can learn from.
NDC are binding in penny for a year. I will say, and a lot of goodwill. Omu GD say omu a lot of goodwill. Ntombe tumi aye bibia. Na Ghana for dom pa omu 70 bibia be kutu ombe ye. Omu no more numbers no be ye. Ye fi abem so nche. Ye succeed won niam bebre. Ye fail won niam bi so ho. Ya ye ready say bibia ye fail ye ne ye be kire wo say enkofa ho. Ukofa ho Ghana be boka kwa hu hia. Bibia succeed ye no so ye be kire wo na onka wo so ato aso. So kase yene ato abama yene majority mfa masam kono ho a yentie mu ye be ma marshal achemu ye be ma bie na fo achemu a baby aye point on kura hu be kwa kopori na wo poli a ni nsunsunso na bia ye ntumi nso bo ye na wo se ye ka sempo ya fomo baby kura mpo a baby amoko no ye hunu bi penti no ye kana wuti a wo betumi a correct na wan ko nkuti cause wuti a bia ni nsunsunso no yedi nipa no ba nkwan mu bioma anya den enye tie no nti na yesere se ye ka bibi omonye den
omontie. And they can learn from their failures and what make them fail and advise themselves. He said something like that. It was sad the way the media put it out. The media put it out as if Nkrumah was saying that the NDC should come and set it under their feet so that they can learn to save this country. And I saw the amount of comments that were bashing him. Like, who Bondo? Who are you to come and talk about this? You know, maybe it's Jandam, maybe it's just people trying to sensationalize things. But I advise Ghanaians, please do not react to captions. Don't react to captions. I've seen my producer does that a lot. I'll say certain things and then he will caption it in a certain way and people start even insulting me by the captions. I've seen people write and blast me on YouTube with a caption, and when the program starts, I see that slowly they have deleted their insults. Want to book a cry? So please stop reacting to captions. Listen to what they said. Anyway, I am saying this. Thank God for people who want to listen. Thank God for people even on the opposite side who say, let's keep an open mind. If it's good, let's support it. Thank God there are many people like that. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, is all for this country. It is all for this country. And whatever happens, the signs are there. JM, thank you. That singular act tells me, say, you mean to build this nation. And some of us, and many of us in Ghana, will help you build this nation. Whatever we do, folks, this country shall rise again.